So sorry that I didn't come back later yesterday to fill you in on what the teaser meant. So what I did instead was I posted the pictures. So um, it's it's a really strange situation to have friends who are the parents of the actors who played your children. It's a very surreal, layered kind of real world, not real world. And all those years ago, when their daughter was 12 and I was her TV mother, I knew her parents well. I knew them career-wise, not necessarily television, but I knew them because Alan was a teacher and I was teaching, and we would run into each other at various schools. And I knew Georgia because we kept running into each other at all kinds of places when we were shopping. And she was into yoga and had come from Europe. And over the course of time, we discovered that we had a lot of odd and interesting things in common that had nothing to do with television or anything like that. So I hadn't seen them in probably, wow, I hadn't seen them since after the show, but in the 1990s. And so when I reached out and said, hey, I'm back in Ottawa, and they said, come for coffee, come for cake. So I went and we caught up and we just kept catching up and talking about new projects that we have going. And then we kept finding all these similarities about, well, I'm doing this for this reason. And I would say, well, my gosh, that's exactly what I'm doing. So it was a full day. It was a full and lovely day. And when I was getting ready to go, Georgia said, "Here, let's get some pictures." And so there we were, and it's lovely when I came home and posted them. It's lovely to see how many of you saw how much fun that was. And I loved the comments. I loved everybody saying, gosh, look at the smiles. It was a really, really fun time. And if you can hear the sirens, I'm not in any trouble. It's out there somewhere. The window's open because the air is just so beautiful. Anyway, so the follow-up to yesterday was the joy of reconnecting friendships. They never go away, but the joy of making the effort to say, so how are you now? And then what happened? And how have you been? And what's going on and what's happening next? Because I think what it does for us, no matter where the friendships began and what the trigger was, they give us a sense of place, of context. And for somebody like me, a child of the military, my context has been missing in my life. I didn't live consecutively in houses that were three doors from the convenience store or across the street from the church. Or everything changed. Every new place I went, it was a complete reset. I knew who I was, but I didn't know who they were, and I didn't know what was considered normal in this new space. And so it was a constant begin again, begin again, begin again. It was like Groundhog Day. So the value to me of friendships that go beyond that was not something that I knew as a kid, again, because we kept moving. And the irony, in hearing about George's childhood and hearing about Alan's childhood, very similar. Discovering that Alan was teaching at a military base in Europe. And I said, so, oh my God. So you, in your adult years, interacted with all these kids who have no idea where they are. And he said, yeah, yeah. It was eye-opening. It was a different kind of teaching. And, a lot of the work that he did as a dad, coaching his kids when they were thinking they might want to get into some kind of career path that would make them famous, he and Georgia together did a lot of work to keep them grounded. And one of the famous quotes that he's now being requoted by assorted children of his and grandchildren of his, um, he has said, and when he told me, I said, that's brilliant. It really is. And here's what he said. He said, no matter which audience you are in front of, no matter who you are presenting to, there will only be three kinds of people in that audience. There will be, good morning, Charles. There will be people who will love you no matter what. You can do anything and they will love you. That's the first kind. The second kind is there will be people who will not be impressed with you no matter what you do. They might not go so far as to hate you, but they will be quick to criticize because they just don't connect. You're just not on the same wavelength, and you never will be. And the third kind, frankly, Scarlett, couldn't care less. They couldn't care if you're there, they couldn't care if you're not. So as long as you think about the people in front of you, that they come to this moment where you are, that they come with one of those three attitudes. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. They're going to love you for their reasons. They're going to not care about you for their reasons. And they're simply not going to care about anything at all for their reasons. And as long as you know that, the temptation to try to please, to chase their approval, will diminish a little. Now, all actors, all performers, all people who, are people pleasers. We have this instinct. We want to create happiness for them. We want to create gratification for them. We want them to applaud. We all want people to like us. But as long as you know that there is another level of conversation going on in their own heads, on their own internal loop tape, that sometimes will drown out what they can hear or see from you. As long as you're aware of that, and you can from time to time take a step back and take that deep, slow breath and say, okay, that wasn't about me. It's too bad. That wasn't about me. And those people who will love you no matter what, okay, those aren't the people that you just completely and only listen to. You need to have a lot of voices that you can pick from and put together and get a sense of the impact that you're having on the world. So that was the kind of conversation that we were having yesterday after all those years of not seeing each other, which is why the visit went long and we had such a wonderful time. They were very excited by, very curious about the Pivotry project. They want to know more. They both are working with people whose lives are in transition, who are transforming themselves to meet their challenges. And so they were intrigued. And I said, hey, you know what? If you guys are interested in getting on board on this project, the more the merrier. I think that would be awesome. So that was my day. So that's the follow-up. And I think, as I say, the takeaway that I have is about cherishing the people that you just automatically resonate with. Cherish the feel goods, cherish the lessons, cherish, as Georgia says, the blessing in the lesson. What's the gift? Cherish, and however long you have to wait to discover the gift, but cherish it, because those moments connect us. They help us create our tribe. We become villagers in this global village together. And I drove home yesterday late afternoon, and I was so happy and so full of the deliciousness of reconnecting with people who just made the day magical. And when I got home, I thought I'm not even ready to translate what this has done to me. So I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And so I apologize for just leaving you with pictures. But I think the pictures are pretty cool. You can tell that we were having fun. You can tell that we like each other. You can tell that that was a good connection, a strong connection, and still is. And that's magical. So the other thing I've said today, you cherish your wife. Yes, life and a lot of things. Yes, Charles, good for you. Yes, very wise, very wise. And so I also, in the title for this, I said that this is the teaser for tomorrow's video, because, oh joy, I have another Thorsday road trip. I'm heading back to the other place to go and see another person who has paperwork that I need to look over and approve and sign in front of people, and then they stamp it and they stamp me on the forehead or whatever, and then I get in the car and I drive back. and I have to be there fairly early, and who knows what the weather will be like or the traffic will be like. So I thought, once again, I'm not going to get up at 5 in the morning and do a video. Can you imagine? So the teaser today for tomorrow, I'm fairly sure I'm going to talk about tomorrow is, again, I'm going to go back to giving the process the time it needs. What I did not want, would never have wanted, and Alan and Georgia and I talked about this yesterday, the bittersweet now is that this wouldn't be if all the other things over the last 8 months hadn't happened. I wouldn't be here. I would be there. There would be different doors, open and closed. There would be different paths. And so every day of the last 8 months has been one foot in front of the other, going through the process. Presented with a step, I took it. Asked a question, I answered it. Follow through with a task, I did it. Every day. And one of the things that I guess we can say we're grateful for when there is so much ahead of us is that there is no time really to step back and feel sadness or feel confusion or rail against the wrongness, if you want to call it that. There's no time. All there is time for is doing the best we can. Bring the best we can. Be for the people who need us the version of us they need the most. And so really that's part of pivotry. Finding the way to be the best for the people who need us the most. And sometimes it's us. Sometimes we are the ones who need us the most, need a certain part of our personality to step up and take charge. And now that I have gone through those 8 months and I'm here, I still have a process that I'm going through. I'm back in the car tomorrow, and I'm doing the thing that I'm being asked to do. And I'm contacting people who I had plans with, saying, okay, slight adjustment, let's reset, let's rethink, and let's reconnect, because I don't know what the outcome of tomorrow, the specific thing I'm doing, is going to be. So what I want to talk about is the process. When I come back and I follow through on this teaser, I want to talk about the process, and I also want to talk about the assumptions that we have. Because in that process that we were following carefully every day, there was an assumption that it would continue, that the process would continue, the steps would continue, that the doors would continue, that the work would continue. There was never an assumption that it would stop. In spite of the fact that processes do stop, things do end. None of us really had gone there in our heads. We were focused on the doing and the being and the achieving and the preparing for the next. So when I talk about the process again tomorrow late with you, in between now and then, I think it's really important to give ourselves a little bit of permission to accept the fact that even when we follow the process, sometimes we hit a roadblock. Sometimes the bridge is out. Sometimes something is under construction. Sometimes there's a flat tire. Something changes that we weren't thinking about. And then it's up to us to reset, to recalibrate, to rethink, and begin again, and follow the new process. And that's really our normal for all of us every day. We actually are transformers all the time. We just don't notice because we're busy transforming. So I know I'm going to have some sort of an adventure to share with you. There always is one. And I know that it's going to be a busy day for all of you. So I'm going to stop now because there are things that I have to do to get ready for today. Um, I want to thank you for more sirens. I want to thank you for checking in to see how I am. I want to thank you for the lovely comments and the likes and the loves and the hugs and all that on the pictures that I posted yesterday. It's like you were all there with us. And I will see you tomorrow at some point later in the day. So between now and then, remember our theme tomorrow will be the process and patience and understanding and all of that good stuff. Be good to you. Okay? You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones. This is a process too. Okay? Bye bye for now.